Okay, cool. Right. So, a very good evening to all. Let us start on with the first Python program today. Okay, so any doubts with yesterday's session? I'll do one thing. I'll take up all your doubts at the end for after the session. If you have time, you can actually stay on and you can ask me all your doubts. Okay, so for now, let me quickly start on with today's session. Okay, so look at the way I write this code. Okay, this is a very simple code. Okay, a complete code, okay, which is nothing but a Python code to add two numbers and print the result on the screen. Okay, so how do I do that? First thing is I put something which starts from a hash, okay, and say this is my first Python program. Okay, it starts from a hash, Python program. Fine. Okay, having said that, Python program, right? And then what I do is I write something called as a is equal to 5, and then I write b is equal to 6. Then I add these two by saying sum is equal to a plus b. Okay, and then I use a function called as print, okay, to print the output on the screen. Okay, I'll explain you these one by one. Okay, sum is equal to, okay, sum. Okay, having said that, right, now listen to me carefully. I will start dissecting this one by one. Okay, so what is this first line that starts with a hash symbol? What is this line called as? Any idea? You can put that in your comment box. What is this line that starts with a hash called as? Any idea? Put that in your chat box. Okay, exactly. Okay, so one second. This thing that you can see on the screen, the first line that starts with a hash symbol, is basically called as your comment line. It is called as your comment line. Okay, now what do you mean by this comment line? Okay, this comment line is a line that is used for the programmers to understand what is actually happening in this piece of code. Okay, let me repeat. This comment line is actually used, okay, by the person who has written the code, as well as by the person who would actually maintain the code in future, to understand what is basically happening in this piece of code. It means that, okay, this comment line will contain details about, okay, the logic of the program, okay, who wrote the code, that is the author of this code, the day he has written, the time of the, the time that he had actually made any changes to this code, so on and so forth. Okay, so one more thing about this comment line is that this comment line is not compiled by the compiler, or is not an executable statement. Okay, it is ignored by the compiler while compiling this piece of code. Okay, now if you actually see most of the textbooks or many university teachers and all that, they say comment lines is just a comment line and they just leave it off. Okay, but let me tell you, this comment line has a huge significance, very important significance, right? Especially, I would like to share a small story with you guys. Okay, I still remember this. So whenever I teach programming, the very first day I actually share this story with all my students. Okay, so I would have shared this with few of my previous students, but it is for the new students who are attending my session for the very first time. Okay, that long back, while I was working in my with my first company, okay, so I was working on a project. I remember I started the project from scratch. It was a C code. Okay, and for 1 year I had actually worked on that project. Okay, and those days I was a fresher. When I started off this, I was a fresher, and I was not knowing that, I have to write comment line, I have to maintain proper documentation and all those stuff. Okay, so 1 year I actually wrote that code just as it is. Okay, and after 1 year the project got completed, and then the project went into something called as the maintenance phase. What do you mean by maintenance phase? Maintenance phase is that the project has been completed, the project or the product has been deployed into the client place, and if there is any problem that happens with the client when he is actually using the project, right, he will call us and we will have to fix it. Okay, so I was basically fixing those issues and all after 1 year. So my manager told me, Subhash, enough of fixing the issues and all that. There is a new project which have come. So why don't you move on to the new project? We will hire a fresher, okay, to maintain this old project. So he will do the supporting work. I said, okay. And I moved on to the next project. So when I moved on to the next project, we hired a fresher, basically from a training academy. We actually hired a fresher, and he started supporting it. Okay. So I went and told that guy, the new guy, okay, the trainee guy, that the code has been written by me. Okay, most of the code has been written by me. If you find any trouble in this piece of code, come and talk to me. I will be able to help you out. Okay, so he said, okay sir, I'll do that and all that. And then what happened after, say 3 months of the time after he joining, 3 months got over, and he approached me and said, Subhash, there is one piece of code that I'm not, one piece of code, one part of the code which I'm not understanding. Can you please help me out? I said, no problem. I have involved in this project from past 1 year. I will be able to help you out. And, I went to his cubicle, I opened the code, and I was actually going through that code. Okay. Trust me, I wrote that code, a few months back. And when I was seeing that code, I could not make out what was actually happening in this piece of code. Okay, and I was shocked to see I wrote the code. Boss, I remember that I was writing the code, but I did not know, I could not understand why was that code actually written in the first place. Right now, did you check the difficulty? So people say comment lines are used for others to understand. It is not just for others to understand, rather it is also for ourselves to understand after we see our own code over, after say some 3 months or 4 months, right? So comment lines plays a very important role. Okay, if I had written why that code was written using a comment line over there, it would have been very easy for me to explain the trainee what was happening in that piece of code. Check out the scenario. I wrote the code. After several months, I myself is not in a situation to understand what is happening in that piece of code, right? Then imagine if I could not understand, then imagine if suppose I leave the company and go and someone else join the organization. If he sees the code, what will happen? Agree, disagree with me, right? So for that reason, my dear friends, make sure whenever you make even a slightest change, a minute change, okay, a tester might give you a bug and you're fixing the bug, and when you're fixing the bug, put a comment line. What changes did you make over there? Okay, when you put that comment line, okay, forget about yourself here. You will leave the company and go. Someone else who joins the company in place of you, right, who will replace you, when he sees the code, he should feel like, okay, super, this code has been written or this change has been done for so and so reason. So all those things should be documented properly in your piece of code. Got this? Okay, so this is basically the use of a comment line. So comment line is basically used for documentation purpose. Okay, and this comment line will not be executed by your CPU. It means it is not at all compiled by the CPU. The compiler will basically ignore this line. Got it or not? Did you get that? Just put that in the comment box. If you got it, just say yes, I've got it in the comment box, so that I can proceed with the next concept. Yeah, did you get that? Right? Awesome. Right, if you have got that. Okay, now what is this? What kind of comment line is this? Okay, this comment line that you can see on the screen. Okay, hope my screen is shared, right? Yes or no? Are you able to see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. So this line is called as a single line comment. It is a single line comment. Okay, it means only one line is commented over here, right? What if I want to comment multiple line? Or I want to comment multiple line. I have one more line which says, one more line which says, okay, this is my first Python program, and I also want to write, this adds two numbers. This adds, two numbers. I just want to put one more comment line here. So what is that I do? I actually put one more hash. Okay, so basically if I want to comment multiple lines, I can actually put multiple hashes like this. So each line would get commented. Is that okay? Okay, not okay. Okay, not okay. Right? Yeah. Now I want to tell you something very important. Very important, which most of the books may not tell you, but listen to me very carefully. Okay. In Python, there are two more kinds of comments which can be used to comment multiple lines. There are two more kinds of comment lines. You know what are they? They are called as triple single quotes and triple double quotes. It means if suppose I want to comment multiple lines, assume that I have some lines like this, okay, which says this is, okay, my first, I have something like this. This is my first Python program, something like this. This is my first Python program. Okay, how many lines does this span to? This span to 3 lines, isn't it? And I want to comment all these 3 lines. Okay, so what I can do is that there is one more method to do it, that is triple single quotes. Okay, single quote, single quote, single quote, and end it with single quote, single quote, single quote. Whatever you want to comment, just put that as part of your triple single quotes, or you can put that between your triple double quotes. Triple double quotes. This is my first Python program. This is my first Python program. So either put it within triple single quote, or you put it between within your triple double quotes. This becomes your comment lines. Okay, now listen to me carefully. I want to tell you something very important. These are basically, I mean, I consider this as, or we consider this as a comment line, but Python language does not say this as a comment line. Okay, this basically, or this symbol is not used for commenting it out. Did you get what I'm saying? These symbols can be used for comment lines, but the purpose of these symbols are not for, listen to me carefully, okay, these symbols are not meant for commenting. These symbols are meant for creating a literal called as string. I'll talk about strings in a while, don't worry. These are basically used as strings, but because I am not storing it into any variable, okay, so this would get garbage collected, and this can be acted, or this can be used as a comment line. Okay, so if you did not understand what I said, now don't worry. For now, just understand that this is not basically considered as a comment line by Python, but it can act as a comment line. Okay, how, why and all we'll see later. For now, don't worry about it. But the standard comment lines, or if you want to comment anything in Python, any line, you are supposed to make use of hash symbol, and that is the standard comment. Is that okay? Right? About this I'll talk later. For now, I just wanted to bring this up. That is why I told you this. Is that okay? Did you get that? Just say okay if you're okay. Okay, just say, I'll give you some time at the end so that we'll have a discussion. So now just follow whatever I'm saying. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Now, having said that, okay, having said that, now let me go to the next line. Okay, now what is this line called as? What is this line called as? This one, this line. Okay, this line is basically, you can, if it was in C or Java, you would have basically called it as an assignment statement and all that, isn't it? Okay, but in Python, you do not have this assignment statement. There is no difference between initialization, assignment and all that, because everything happens automatically over here. Okay, so there is no difference between your initialization, assignment and all over here. Okay, so it is basically, you can just say it is an assignment, or you can basically call it as an initialization. Okay, if it was in C or Java, right, there would have been a difference. Okay, that is first creating a variable and then giving value to it. Say for example, okay, let me give you an example in C so that you understand. Okay, if people who don't know C, don't worry, absolutely okay. Who know C, try to make out the difference, right? In your C language, if suppose you want to say, if you want to create a variable, you say int a is equal to 6 semicolon, correct? No, so this basically becomes your initialization over there, where in C language this is basically called as your initialization. Okay, during the birth of the variable, you give some value to it, that becomes initialization. Okay, and again in C language itself, okay, you create the variable, you don't give value to it, but after the variable is created and then you put a is equal to 6 over here, what does this become? This basically becomes your assignment. So basically in C language there is a difference between initialization and assignment. Okay, whereas in Java you can either call it as assignment or initialization, because there is no two ways of doing it, because you are not creating any, I mean, you are not mentioning any data type over here. I will talk about it in some more time, more detail. Okay, so now let me even dissect that one also and then explain it to you. Okay, now, okay, in this example, okay, in this example, you can either call it as an assignment or you can call it as an initialization. Okay, Subhash, now what is this assignment? What is this initialization and all that? Okay, now let me actually dissect this one. What is this called as? Don't tell me 5. What is this called as? This basically in Python is called as a literal. It is basically called as a literal, or you can either call it as a constant. Okay, so what is a literal or a constant? Any value that can be stored onto memory is basically called as a literal in Python. I will repeat, any value or any data that can be stored into memory is called as a literal or a constant in Python. Having said that, okay, how many types of constants are there? How many types of constants are there? Any idea? How many types of constants or how many types of literals are there in Python? There are basically 3 kinds of constants, or 3 types of constants, or 3 types of literals in Python. Am I fast? Am I fast? If I'm fast, just say fast so that I can go slow. If I'm slow, just say slow. Okay, yeah. Am I slow? Yeah, okay, cool, nice. Right, so what I'm trying to tell you is that, I will repeat once again. Okay, this number is there, no, this number 5. Okay, here this is basically called as a literal. Literal can also be called as a constant. Now, what do you mean by literal or constant? Any value or any data that can be assigned into memory, or that could be stored into a or that could be stored into a memory location, okay, is basically called as a literal or a constant. Okay, now how many types of literals are there in Python is my question. Okay, so I said there are three types of literals. What are they? First one is basically called as numeric literals. Everything is there in the material that I've shared with you. Okay, but it's okay, you need not write down. Everything is there. Which is not there, I'll tell you, you can write it down. Others just listen to me, right? So first one is numeric literal, and then second one you have something called as Boolean literal, okay, Boolean constant, okay, and third one you have something called as the string literal. Okay, so these are the three kinds of literals that are available in Python. Okay, numeric literal, Boolean literal, and string literal. Now again, in numeric it could be classified. It contains, okay, okay, integer literals, okay, then it has floating point literals, okay, floating point literals. It has again, hexadecimal literal, it has octal literal, okay, it has binary literal, okay, it has complex literal. Okay, so these are the 6 classifications under numeric. Okay, I'll give you example for all this, don't worry. Right now, when it comes to Boolean, there are, what are those two literals that Boolean actually gives you? It is nothing but true and false. Okay, true and false. They are the two things. Okay, now when it comes to string, what is that? Anything that is enclosed within double quotes. Say for example, Subhash is basically called as a string literal. Is that okay? Did you understand this? Okay, just understand. I'll give you examples. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now, answer my question. Okay, what is basically a literal? Any data or a value that can be stored into memory location is basically called as a literal or a constant. Okay, no, that is the first thing. Second thing is that how many types of literals are there? Right? What are they? First one is, okay, numeric literal. Second one is Boolean literal, and third one is string literal. Correct? Again, numeric means what all comes in that? Integer comes, floating point comes, hexadecimal comes, octal comes, binary comes, and then complex comes. Is that okay? These are all into numeric literals, right? Then now, what is you mean by Boolean? Boolean literals are two. One is true, the other one is false. I'll talk about it more in detail in some time. Okay. Then you have string. Okay. What is string? Anything that you write between your double quotes or single quotes. Okay. Single quotes like this, within your single quotes like this, or within triple single quotes, or between your, triple double quotes. All these becomes basically your string literals. Okay, not okay. Okay, not okay. Is that okay? Is that okay? Right? I'm going very slow. I'll give you examples also for this. Right? Now, what do you mean by integer literals? Okay. Now, can you see here 5 and 6? Can you see this 5 and 6? These are integer literals which does not have a decimal point like 5.6 or 6.5. It does not have a decimal point. Such kind of constants are called as integer literals. Is that okay? Just say okay if you're okay. Okay, those constants does not have a fractional part. They are called as integer literals. Okay, now coming to the next one. Okay, what do you mean by floating point literals? Floating point literals are those literals which have a fractional part to it. Example, 6.5. Now let me give an example here. 6.5, 5.6 or something. It has a fractional part, right? That is basically called as a floating point literal. Okay, whereas integer literal is just 6. 6 is an integer literal. Okay, now what do you mean by hexadecimal literal? You remember I had shared a video with you, conversion of hexadecimal to decimal, decimal to hexaversion. I shared it with you in the group, right? So hexadecimal is again a kind of number system which actually, say for example, 0x, okay, 1f, something like this. This is basically a number represented in hexadecimal number system. Okay, so this is basically your hexadecimal literal. Okay, now what do you mean by octal? Octal is nothing but which is represented with the base 8 number system. That is basically called as your octal number system. Now what do you mean by binary number system? Base 2, any number or any digit that is represented in the base 2 becomes your binary number system. Okay, so octal, how do you represent octal? Octal is represented using 0 and o, small o. Okay, and then you can say 5 and 2 or something like that. So this becomes your octal number. Now what do you mean by binary number? It is nothing but base 2, that is 0 a small b or capital B, and then 0 1 0 1 0. It will always be in 1 0 1 0, zeros and ones. That is basically your binary number system. Okay, now coming to what do you mean by your complex number system. What is complex? Okay, complex will have two parts. It would always take the form a plus b j, something like this, real part, and you have your imaginary part. This is basically called as your complex number or complex literal. Did you get what I'm trying to tell you? Different types of literals. Okay, these are the different kinds of numeric literals that could be represented in Python. These are the ones which are supported. These are the ones you can actually store it into memory. Okay, so I'm talking about only literals now, constants now. Is that okay? Did you get this? Okay, next comes boolean, which is nothing but true and false. I'll talk about it later. And then again string, we would be making use of string n number of times in our programming over here. Anything that starts or that is written in between your double quotes, single quotes, or triple single quotes or triple double quotes, that is basically considered as a string. Okay, group of characters put together in between or within double quotes or between or within single quotes or within your triple single quotes or a triple double quotes basically is called as a string literal. Did you get that? Is that okay? Did you understand literals now? Okay, the right hand side will always be a literal. Literals will not be on the left hand side. Always on the right hand side there would be a literal. Did you get this or not? If you got it, just say yes so that I can proceed further with the next one. Did you get that? Awesome. Everyone just say okay. Everyone okay? Yeah, cool. Right, now coming to this. Okay, equal to is basically called as an operator, which is nothing but an assignment operator. I will talk about operators in tomorrow's session. Okay, for now understand this. This operator is used to store the literal that is on the right hand side to the variable on the left hand side. Equal to is a assignment operator which is used to store the literal on the right hand side of the equal to operator to the variable which is there on the left hand side of the operator. Is that okay? Right, now having said that, what do you mean by this a? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by a? What do you mean by a? What is a? What is a? Okay, a, yes, as most of you would be knowing, a is basically called as a variable. Okay, can I remove this from the screen from here? I will remove this. I'll just erase this from here. I'll have space to write, right? So yeah, correct. Okay, now what is that? A is basically, you say it is basically called as what? A variable. Okay, what is a variable, by the way? What is a variable? What is a variable? You would have definitely come across something called as variable anywhere in any programming language, right? What is basically a variable? Generally, not in Python or anything like that, in generally in any programming language. Okay, exactly, correct. Yeah, okay, now listen. Variable is basically a name given to a specific memory location. Agree, disagree with this? Okay, which keeps changing its value and all that. Okay, now variable is nothing but, okay, now let me talk about C language for now. Okay, now let me talk about C language. In C language, when I say int, if you don't know C language, it's okay. Okay, it's for those people who know C. Okay, you can just try to relate. Okay, if you don't know, it's okay, just ignore it. Okay, in C, if I say int a is equal to 6, so what happens basically? Okay, you are telling the compiler that you need a specific memory location. You are telling the compiler allocate a specific memory location and give it a name a. Okay, store the value 6 in it, and there would be some address 100, and the size of this particular variable will be equal to the data type integer. Am I right? Just say, am I right? Is this what I'm saying in C? By saying that int a is equal to 6, by saying int a is equal to 6, I am telling the compiler, boss, I need some amount of memory location, give it a name called as a. Okay, just give it a name as a and make it hold a value 6, and the size of this memory location should be equal to the size defined by the data type integer by C language. This is what this is called as your variable. So basically, what is a variable? Variable is nothing but, okay, a name given to a specific memory location. In Python, it's a small deviation. In Python, there is a small deviation. Okay, instead of calling it as a memory location or a name given to a memory location, okay, you can call it as a or a variable as a tag. Okay, that is associated with this literal 5. Okay, because memory is not in our hand. Okay, it has been taken care of, the memory and all is taken care of by the PVM, right? For now, understand that variable, I'll talk about variables later, by towards the end of the session. For now, understand variable is just a name associated with a particular constant, or it acts like a tag given to a particular constant. Or if you find it difficult to keep this in mind, just understand normally as variable, a name given to a memory location which contains this variable, which contains this literal 5. Is that okay for now? So basically this line contains three things. What is it? One is the variable. Okay, next you have the literal, and then you have an assignment operator which is used to store this 5 into this particular variable. Is that okay? Is that okay? But here comes a question. Here comes a question in C language. Okay, in C language, okay, Subhash, in C language you wrote int a is equal to 6, and that is why the compiler could allocate, okay, int size of int bytes of memory to the variable a. That is, int occupies 4 bytes in C. So in C language, when I wrote int a is equal to 6, the size of the memory that was allocated for us was 4 bytes. Okay, so do you have any concept like that in Python? Maybe you have this question in your mind. You have this question in your mind? Yes, you have such question in your mind. Subhash, do you have any such concept called as data types in Python? You have such question? Yes, no? Correct? Correct? Yes, there is a concept called as data type in Python. There is a concept called as data type in Python. Okay, so but that data type is not under our control. Okay, everything is handled by the Python itself. Okay, so like in C, you need not say int a is equal to 6. You need not say. Okay, in Python, by just saying a is equal to 6, okay, automatically the memory or whatever is required to store this value 6 would be automatically taken care by the PVM for you. The Python would take care of it. And what type of data is this would be determined by the Python itself, and based on that the variable would be created. So you need not actually have to worry about creating memory for a, or what type of the declaration for a and all such kind of things, like how you do it in other programming languages. That is the reason yesterday in the class I told you, okay, Python is dynamically typed. Didn't I tell you that? Okay, I told you, right? Python is nothing is dynamically typed. What do you mean by dynamically typed? Okay, dynamically typed means the data type would be basically, okay, identified accordingly based on the literal by the Python itself. The language will understand what is the type of the data. You need not mention it, and the entire memory that is required for a specific kind of data would be taken care by the Python itself. Did you get that? Did you get that? Yes, no? Okay, just did you understand so much? Did you understand this? Did you understand this? Okay, yeah. Okay, so now having said that, there are data types in Python also. There are data types in Python also. So what are those data types? Okay, those data types are, listen to me carefully, I'll tell you what are those types. Okay, later I'll go in more detail about it. Let me now just clarify what are those data types. Okay, so those data types are nothing but, first type is none data type. I will not be explaining it in today's session. I'll be explaining it to you once I start with your functions and all those things. Okay, in the future class, I'll be telling you. The first data type is none. And then you have something called as numeric data types. Okay, numeric data types. Then you have something called as bool data type. Okay, Boolean data type. And then you have something called as sequences. Okay, you have sequence data types. Okay, then you have set data type. And then you have map data type. Is that okay? Right? So how many types of data, data types are there? What kinds of data types are there? None, numeric, Boolean, sequence, set, and map. Okay, so I know it will be a lot of confusing, but trust me, by the end of session, a lot of things would be clarified. Okay, now when it comes to numeric data types, okay, numeric data types, you have integer, okay, then you have float, okay, and then you have complex. Okay, these are the three which comes under numeric data types. Is that okay? Is that okay? Now you might ask me, what about hexadecimal, octal, binary, and all those things? Hexadecimal, octal, binary, all those things comes under int itself. That is considered as integer data type itself. Is that okay? Is that okay? Not okay? Yes. Okay, Fine. Having said that, okay, having said that, now listen to me. I will now come to this thing. So even this is a literal getting stored into a variable b of data type integer. So the data type would be decided by the Python itself, as we know that because we are learning Python that 6 is basically an integer data type. It's a numerical data type, and under numeric data types, it's basically an integer data type. And I'm adding these two numbers 5 plus 6, and what gets stored is 5 plus 6 nothing but 11. 11 gets stored into sum, and then I have a function called as print in Python, which is used to print certain characters on the screen. So what gets printed on the screen is this S gets printed, U gets printed, M gets printed, and there's a space here, space gets printed equal to, and what is stored in sum now? What is stored? 11 is stored. That 5 plus 6 is 11, right? 11 gets stored, and this would be your output on the screen. A simple program to add two numbers. Got it? A simple program to add two numbers. Okay, not okay. Okay, if you want me to revise, I will revise it once again for you. Do you want me to revise it? A quick revision. You want me to revise? I'll revise it. Okay, first thing, you want me to erase it and write it from first? You want me to erase it and write it from first, or no? Okay, now listen to me. Yeah. Okay, first thing is what? Revanappa, you're raising your hand. Okay, so give me some time. Let me, if you have some doubt, can you please unmute yourself and ask me? Revanappa, can you unmute yourself and ask me? I'm waiting. No, sir, by mistake. Okay, pa, no problem. Right? Yeah, anything is there, you ask me, Revanappa. It's okay? Yeah, fine. Right? Yeah. So what is this first line? What are these two lines called as? Can you put that in the comment box? It is basically called as comment lines. Is that okay? They're called as comment lines. Comment lines means what? It is used for documentation purpose. It won't be compiled. It won't be executed by the CPU. It's only for documentation purpose for us, as for programmers who wrote the code, as well as people who are maintaining the code, to understand what is happening in this below code. It contains your author and when it was created and a lot of other stuffs like that. Okay. Yeah. And then the next line, these two are called, what are these called as? Okay, you can call it as either initialization or assignment or whatever you want to call it. Okay, now 5 is basically a constant or a literal. So what do you mean by a literal or constant in Python? Any data that you actually store into memory, right? Any data that you can store into memory is basically called as a literal or a constant, right? How many constants are there in this program for now? We have two constants. One is 5, the other one is 6. Okay, now what are the different kinds of constants available or literals available in Python? Okay, there are three types of literals. What are they? First one is your numeric literal, then you have your Boolean literal, and the third one is your string literal. Okay, under numeric itself you have 6 more kinds. What are they? Integer literal, okay, which those integer numbers will not have a decimal point over there. Okay, and then you have floating point literals. Floating point literals are those constants which has a decimal part, which has a fractional part. Okay, and then we have hexadecimal numbers, then we have octal numbers, then binary literals and complex literals, which complex would take the form of real part and your imaginary part, that is a plus b j or something like that. Okay, where this will be your real part and this would be your imaginary part. These are complex numbers, right? Now having said that, the second kind of literal is your Boolean literal, which will take two values. One is true and the other one is false. Okay, so now I want to tell you one more important thing over here. In Python, anything that is non-zero is considered as true. Okay, and anything that is zero is considered as false. What is the meaning of this? I'll tell you in tomorrow's session. For now, just understand this. In Python, anything non-zero is considered as true. Okay, and anything that is zero is considered as false. Did you get that? It means if I write 100, that is considered as true, and if I write 0, that is considered as false. Okay, not okay. Okay, so these are the two Boolean literals that we have. Okay, now having said that, I'll make use of this tomorrow in detail. Okay, now then we have string. String is nothing but set of characters, group of characters which are grouped within your double quotes or single quotes, a pair of single quotes or double quotes or triple single quotes or triple double quotes. Got this? Okay, no? And now, as in any other language, if suppose you want to create a variable, it has to have some kind of data type. Okay, no? Only thing is, in languages like C and Java and all that, you have the control to mention or specify what kind of data type that you are, the variable should be associated with. Whereas in Python, you don't have that control, and because Python is a dynamically typed language, the data type would be dynamically determined by the Python itself. Okay, so in this case, A and B both are of type of integer data type. Okay, so having said that, how many types of data types are there in Python? Okay, I've mentioned it over here. Okay, you can see the first one is none data type. Okay, then you have your numeric data type, then you have your boolean data type, you have your sequence data type, set data type, map data type. Okay, so out of numeric, I mean in sequences there are many, in sequences there are many, in set there are many, in map there are many. Okay, so I'm not discussing all this for now, I'm just giving you an overview. Whenever that chapter comes, I'll be discussing all those in details. Okay, for now, because we have used numeric data types, I'm just expanding that. So numeric data types can be integer, it could be floating point, it could be complex. Okay, not okay, right? And then we added these two numbers and printed the result on the screen. Okay, not okay. Is that okay? Do you understand this so much? Right? Right? Okay. Having said that, okay, let me go to the material that I've shared with you guys. Okay, so can you see this over here? Can you see this? What is there in this? What is the first thing? What is the first line called as? First line. What is the first line called as? Okay, it is your comment line. This is basically your comment line. Okay, I have shared this material with you guys. This is basically your comment line. Okay, now what else you have? Then what else you have? Again, you have your comment line over here. These are your multi-line comments. Even this is your comment line. Okay, they are your multi-line comments. Multi-line comments. This is a single line comment. This is basically your multi-line comments. Okay, right. Having said that, even this is your multi-line comments. Okay, now here did I say this? This is basically a literal. A is a variable. I'm storing 5 into A. Okay, again I can have +6 or -6 for your integer literal, so I'm storing +6 into B. If there is no need to put a plus, if it is because it is assumed as it is positive. When you don't give any sign, it is assumed as it is positive. Is that okay? Is that okay with these two lines? Okay, these two lines are over. Right, now what are these two constants? What are these two constants called as? What are these two constants called as? These are integer constants. Okay, these are integer constants. These are floating point constants. These are floating point constants because it has your fractional part over there. What are the third kind of constants called as? What are third type of constants? What are these two called as? They are called as complex. They are called as complex constants. Okay, so what is this? What constant is that? What constant is this? This is basically here x is there, so this is basically hexadecimal. These are hexadecimal constants. Okay, then what are these two? These are binary constants. Okay, these are binary constants. And what are these basically called as? Octal constants. They are your octal constants. And then what is this constant called as? What is this constant called as? Boolean constant. Okay, now what is this? What are these constants? There are 4 different over here. What are these? They're all representing your string constants. They're all representing your string constants, a group of characters put together. Right, now what am I doing? I'm adding all. So first one, and then the second, and then the third, like this. Am I adding all this? Correct? Can you guess what is the output of this program now? Then can you just see the program and tell me the output? Just see, don't type or anything, just see this program, and then the material is given with you. Can you tell me the output of this program so that we can cross verify later? Output of this program. Yeah, okay, I'll run this code for you guys. Okay, so let me run this code. Okay, vi, is this the same code? Is the same code? Yeah, I'll run this code for you. Can you see this? Right, and if you want, just I'll give you some say 2 to 3 minutes. If you want, you can just go through this. Okay, a is equal to 5, b is equal to +6, and then you'll have to add these. Okay, so this is hexadecimal addition, and this is your binary addition. Okay, can you tell me what is this binary format of this? What is this? It should be easy. Yogesh, can you tell me what is this? Unmute yourself and tell me, Yogesh.
So it is 10 and 1.
Exactly, 10 plus 1 should result in what?
11, sir.
11. Who is that?
Sushma, sir.
Okay, Sushma, cool. Right, okay, so it is 10 and 11. Okay, fine. So this is your true, and so okay, fine. Let me finally run this code. Can you tell me what will be the last line? N O P Q. N comma O comma P comma Q. What is N? N is hello world, O is hello world, okay, P is hello world, and Q would be hello world. So you got to actually print hello world how many times? 4 times, isn't it? So shall we cross verify this? Yeah, I'm running this code now. Okay, how do I run this code? Okay, so I will just say, use a Python 3 tool and then say py. Okay, so did I get the output? 5 plus 6, 11, 1.0, and you can see this even addition of complex numbers also done with this. Okay. Okay. Just comment in the chat box. Okay, not okay. Any doubt in this? Okay, so provided you must know how to convert your octal to a decimal number system. Yeah, because the output will always be in a decimal number system. That is the reason. Is that okay? So shall we go to the next one? Shall we go to the next one? Shall we go to the next one? Yeah. If I go to the next one, okay. So you remember I gave you this program over here. This program has a small problem. Can you tell me what is this? What is the problem? This program has a small problem. What is it? There is a small problem in this piece of code. What is it? Guys, I think you must unmute yourself and talk to me. I think then we'll be having a Lakshmi is telling semicolon. No, Python doesn't have semicolon. Only C and Java has semicolon. Okay, so Python doesn't end with a semicolon. So it doesn't have it is not semicolon. Yeah, Lakshmi, you can unmute yourself and ask me the doubt.
Sir, m is equal in that code. M is equals to true is there, right, sir?
Correct.
Also, we should get output is equals to 1, no? Because it's not a string.
Okay, no, it should be true only. Why? Why should
True
you get 1?
No, I thought it's 1. Boolean.
No, it's true. It's Boolean, yeah, but it's true only. Only thing is we consider non-zero value as true. That's all. If suppose you have an expression which has a non-zero value, we will consider that as true.
Okay, sir.
Wait till tomorrow, you will understand.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Okay. So there's a problem in this piece of code. What is that? In the one that I've actually written on the screen. You know what is that? The problem is that this program will actually find the sum of only 2 numbers, that is 5 and 6. Okay, so this program is not generic. It means this program will only find the sum of 2 numbers, that is 5 and 6. That's all. Okay, if suppose you want to find the sum of 7 and 8, then again what is that you have to do? You will basically have to okay, I'll show you this using a example. Okay, see the screen. I'll just say test.py, one Python code I'm writing. Okay, so I'll put a hash. This is my addition program. Okay, then I say a is equal to 5, and then say b is equal to 6, and then what will I do? Sum is equal to a plus b, and then I say print sum is equal to, okay, sum is equal to sum. Now what I'll do, I will run this code. Okay, I say Python 3 test.py. So it says sum is equal to 11. Yes or no? Now, if suppose I want to add, what is that I've added inside this? I've added 2 numbers, 5 and 6. What if I want to add, say, 1 and 2? When I run this code once again, right, it will only add 5 and 6. That's all. I'll not be able to add anything else apart from 5 and 6. If suppose I want to add 1 and 2, then I will have to go to this code, change this to R1 and then 2, and then compile this code once again. Okay, then run the code once again. Only then I'll be able to get the sum is equal to 3. It means this program is not generic. Is that okay? I have hard coded the values of A and B. Did you get what I'm trying to tell you? Did you understand what I'm saying? What do you mean by generic? Yes or no? Yeah. So yeah. So this now, if I want to actually make it generic, what is it I have to do now? What do I have to do now? Okay. Every time I run the code, okay, I should be able to take the input from the keyboard. Correct? No? I should be able, exactly, take dynamic inputs, correct, right? I should be able to take the input from the keyboard, right? Get values for A and B from the keyboard. So how will I do that? In C language, you used, what is that you used? In C language, you use something called as scanf, correct? And in Java, you will make use of something called as scanner class, correct? But in Python, what will I do now? In Python, okay, the equivalent of scanf is something called as input. Okay, the equivalent of scanf is nothing but input. Did you get that? Do you have any doubts before I type the code? Do you have any doubt? I'll proceed further. Okay, you understood the problem. So in this, I'll repeat, in this problem, it is hard coded. Now what is it I want to do? I want to take these any 2 values through the keyboard. For that, I have a function called as input, and I'll say input, enter first number. Okay, and then input enter second number. So input is a function, okay, input is a function in Python which is used to take values from the keyboard. Like how your scanf is there, no, in C language, to take the values through the keyboard. Similarly, in Python, if you want to take values through the keyboard, right, you make use of this function called as input. Okay, so input, when you say enter first number, it is actually waiting for you to enter one number. And then what happens? Okay, you know what do you mean by slash n? I'm putting the slash n over here. Do you have any idea what do you mean by slash n? It is
Next line or new line.
yeah, it is basically called as new
New
line.
line.
It means bring the cursor to the new line is what I am mean to say by slash n. It is nothing but a control character, okay, to get the cursor to the new line, right? Now what happens is that, okay, so I put this enter the first number, enter the second number. Now will it work? Now will it work? Will it work? It will not work. Will it work? It will not work. Well, let us compile this and see. Are you ready? Shall I compile it? People, Yogesh is telling it will work. Kirtana Ganapati is telling it works. Okay, but okay, let me see now. Shall I compile this code? Shall I run this code? Okay, let me compile and see whether it works or not. Okay, Python 3 test.py. Okay, I'm saying enter the first number. Give me one number. Shall I enter one? Okay, I'll enter one. Enter the second number 2. Okay, sum is equal to 12. Is 1 and 2 is equal to 12? Is it equal to 12? 1 and 2. What should it give me? What should it give me? 1 and 2. It should give me 3. But why is it not giving me 3 actually? Yes or no? Because I am not adding two numbers, rather I am actually concatenating two strings over here. Listen to me, I'll explain this very carefully. Okay, listen to me carefully, I'll explain it. Right? Can I remove this from the screen? I'll remove this from the screen. If you want to take a picture, just say took. Just say took. If you have taken the picture, just say took. Okay, yeah, now what I will do, I am removing this from the screen. Okay, listen, when I said A is equal to input, okay, A is equal to input, enter first number, enter first number. Okay, I gave this input, enter first number. And then what I did, I said next line, B is equal to again input, okay, no semicolon, okay, yeah. Next I say input, enter second number, enter second number. Okay, you know what happened when I actually gave this? Okay, enter first number, new line character, new line character. Here the program was waiting for you to enter, okay, some value over here. Okay, so when you entered some value, say for example you entered 1, okay, so this 1 was not taken as a integer, rather it was considered as a string. Okay, no, so now next time when you said enter second number, you entered the second number, and what happened? You gave the second number like this. So when you gave the number 2, what happened? It was considered as 2 as a string. Okay, now when you did sum is equal to, okay, A plus B, what got added was not the number 1 and 2, rather what got added was, you know, the string 1 plus string 2, and that is the reason this got concatenated and the result was 1 and 2. You understanding what I'm saying? Okay, so if you want to overcome this problem, you know what is that you have to do now? You have to actually convert this string number into integer, I mean the string value into integer value. Yes or no? Yes, no? Just say yes, no, correct, no? So when I'm giving input, no, when you're giving input, it would be considered as string, right? The string has to be converted into an integer and then you must add it. You're getting? You're not getting? You're getting? Okay, you're getting what? Yes or no? So what is, Danya will answer your question in some time. Okay, yeah, give me some time. Number is not considered as, give me some time. At the end I'll take your question. Okay, just make a note of that question. I'll answer you at the end. Okay, now just understand what is happening here, right? So what I will do here is that now I want to convert this into an integer, okay, and then add it. So what will I do? I will actually say A is equal to, what is there in A now? Okay, let me, when I say input, what will happen? Okay, it will actually take a string, right? Now what will I do is I will convert that, or else let me write it in a separate line so that you'll understand. Okay, so what is A containing now? What is A containing? A is containing a string, right? String 1. So I will say, boss, I want you to convert that A into an integer now. So int is basically a function. Python gives you a function to convert, okay, the string A into an integer. I'll write it and show it to you over here. I'll write it and show it to you so that you understand. Okay, new first one is first step. A is equal to, okay, input. A is equal to input. Enter first number. Enter first number. This is the first number. Okay, now when you enter this first number through the keyboard, what did you enter through the keyboard? What did you enter? You entered 1, right? So that 1 would go and store in A. No, now tell me, what is this A containing? A would be containing like this would look like this. Okay, something like this. A is equal to 1, like a string. No, don't you think it looks like this? Correct? Yes, no, I want to chat. It looks like this, right? A is equal to 1. After entering this 1 from the keyboard, the string 1 went and stored into A. Now I want to say, boss, I don't want this string. I want, instead of the string 1, I want the integer equivalent of the string. So what I will do, I will use this function called as int. Okay, int is a function given by Python to convert a string 1 into an integer 1. Okay, so instead of writing 1, now where is 1 being, where is the string present? It is present in A, right? So what I will do, instead of writing it like this, I will actually say A. So initially A was containing the string 1 that got converted into an integer and got stored into A. Is that okay? Next, what I will do, I'll take the second number. B is equal to input. B is equal to input. Enter, okay, second number. Enter second number. Enter the second number. Correct? Now, what is that B containing? B is containing the second number 2, or whatever we have entered. Now what will I do? I want to convert that also into integer. So what is that I will do? I will basically use this function called as int and then convert that B, whatever is there in B, right, and store it again into B. Is that okay? Okay, not okay. Okay, so now I had taken string 1 that got converted into integer. Then I took B that got converted into the string 2 that got converted into an integer. Now what will I do? I will say sum is equal to A plus B, because A is now containing an integer, B is now containing an integer. Adding these two will result in 3 that will go and sit in sum. Shall we see this output? Shall we see the output of this? Okay, now see, what I will do is that, okay, int A is over. Then I've taken the second value, that is also a string. Okay, B is equal to int of B. Okay, I'm adding these two. Now let me compile this program. Python 3 test.py. So enter the first number, say 1, second number 2, output is 3. I will not change the code once again. I will run the code once again. Now I'll enter two other numbers, 5 and 6. Now the answer is 11. I'll run the code once again. I will give some other values, 7 and 7. Now the output is 14. Did you see the program has become very generic now? Yes or no? In the first program, you had hard coded the values. In the first program, you had hard coded 5 and 6. Okay. Now in the second program, you put the input function, but you forgot to convert it. Yes or no? In the third program, you used input and converted the value into int, and then you started adding it, and the program has become very generic. Yes or no? Okay, not okay. Just say okay if you understood. Did you understand this? Guys, yes, no? Do you understand? Okay, then I'll answer your question at the end. Okay, for now that is not required. For now I'll answer your question at the end. For now, is that okay? Now, if yes, if you understood, now listen. Vi test.py. Okay, now instead of making it into two different steps, okay, instead of two different steps, you know what will I do? Okay, so Vishalini is asking if it is float point, then we should use float. Yes, you must use float. That is there. I will show you in the program. Okay. Now, before you ask, I'll show you everything. Everything has been written in this code that I'm showing it to you. So just have patience and just listen to me carefully. Okay. Yeah. Now see here, instead of writing it into two different steps, what I will do is, right, I will write it into one step. Okay. Input would be stored into A, and then that A is converted into int. Rather than doing that, what you can do is, here only I'll put an int. Instead of storing it somewhere, I will make it into one line so that I can remove this line. Okay. So similarly here, I can put this into an int function like this. Before, instead of two steps, I made it as one step. Did you see this? And then I'm adding it, you'll get the same result. Is the step, did you understand the step? Okay. So instead of taking the input, storing into a variable, and then again converting into an int and all that, basically you can put that, make it as one step. Okay. So this input, what happens is, you take the input and that say input would, when you take the value through the keyboard using input function, you will get a string. That string is given to int, that will get converted and stored into a. Is that okay? Right? Yeah. Then what happens? I will run this code. Okay. Enter first number. Okay. Yes, it should work, Kirtana. Okay. So enter first number 1, enter second number 2, and you will get this value. Is that okay? Fine. Cool. Did you get that? Right? Fine. Now listen to me. I'll go to the next program for now. Okay. Yeah. Now, did you understand this program? Shall we move to the next program now? Shall we move to the next program? Did you understand this code? Correct? Yeah. Now, I've told you the types of literals that we have: numeric literals, string literals, and Boolean literals. Okay. So I've told you all the types of literals over here, which I explained you on the board. I mean on the screen. Okay. So I've given you everything. You can just have a note of it over here. Is that okay? Right? I'm going to the next program before that. And you have something called as user defined data types, which you create, which is not given by the Python, but is created by the programmers. Okay. So using classes and objects, which I'll be discussing later once we discuss object oriented programming. Until then, just have patience. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Cool. Is that okay, everyone? Sejal, are you okay, Sejal? Sejal, you're hearing? Yeah. Are you okay with that? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Now program 2, this one also I have explained. This will give you an error basically, correct? Because I'm taking enter first number, second number, and I'm adding a and error in the sense you won't get the right output over here. Okay. So if you take two values over here, you don't get the, because you're not converting that using the int function. So this program have overcome over here. Did you see that? Enter the first number, enter the second number. I converted that into, okay, first one is int, I want to add two integers. Therefore, I convert that using integer over here. You can see this. It's an integer. Okay. And enter the third number and fourth number. I am actually converting that into floating point. Okay. Someone asked me, can I use float? Yes, you can use float also. So you basically have int function, okay, to convert into int. Then you have a float function to convert into float. Okay. And you also have a complex number, okay, to convert into complex. Okay, you have complex also. It means if you through the keyboard, if you give, okay, say 3 plus 1j, okay, like this will actually get converted into a complex number and get stored into this 1 and 2. Is that okay? Is that okay? I'll show you this practically. I'll show you this. Is that okay? Yeah. And then you can add all these three and then you'll get the desired output. Can I show this? Shall I show this program to you practically? Okay. What is the program number? It is program number 3. All right. Okay. vi 3.py. Okay. Is this the one? Is the one? Yes. First one. I'll take two integers. Okay, I'll convert that. I'll take two strings basically using input that I'll convert into an integer, and then I'll take two strings which are basically, can we convert string into integer? Okay, Lakshmi, what we are doing here is converting string into integer only, Lakshmi. Okay, input, when you give an input, right, that is basically a string input that you're giving. Okay, that string is getting converted into an integer over here, Lakshmi. Did you get that? Did you get what I'm saying? Okay, Sangram is asking, what do you mean by typecasting? I have not even discussed anything about typecasting. What are you asking about typecasting, brother? Okay, did I talk anything about typecasting? Guys, if there is anything called as typecasting, I will tell you. When there is no such kind of thing called as typecasting, then there is nothing. You need not worry about it. Okay, so did you understand what I'm telling till now? Whatever, did you understand what is going on in the class for now? Okay, now did I use anywhere word called as typecasting? Did I use it? If I have not used, then what are you bringing typecasting here over here? There is no typecasting over here. No, this is not typecasting. No. Okay. No, this is not. So listen to me, right? This is basically a function. Okay. If you're thinking about C language and all that, the typecasting there works very differently. So this is not typecasting for now. This is basically a function. Okay. And okay, so this is basically, for now you have a string. This is a string. When you say input, what you take is a string through the input. Whatever you get from the input function is basically a string, and you convert that into an integer. Okay, and then you have the third number, which I'll take it to the float. I'll show you now, and then even that would be received as string, and then I'll convert that into a floating point number. Is that okay? And then I'll take complex numbers, and then that also I'll convert into complex. In these two steps. Okay, observe carefully. These are input functions for taking two complex numbers, and then basically I'll add all those three and I'll print it on the screen. Is that okay? Is that okay? Just say okay, not okay, right? Yeah, Lakshmi is asking, can we convert an int to a string? There are functions, but here for now I'm not doing that. Okay, Biradar, did you get that, Biradar? Okay, so Biradar, don't think this is typecasting or anything. This is not typecasting. It's a whole different concept, Biradar. So don't get confused with the typecasting that belongs to C or Java. Okay, don't think it is a typecasting and all that. Int and float and complex, they're all functions which are used to convert a string to a specific type. Or else, let me explain it like this for you guys so that you don't get confused. I'll make it clear. Okay, let me write it like this. Okay, now listen, I'm removing this from the screen. Okay, now how many functions did I tell you? We have int function. Now we have int function, we have float function. Okay, and then we have written complex function. Let us not bother about others. Okay, complex function. You know what this int function will do? Int function will convert a string to an integer value. Okay, float function will convert a string to a float value. Okay, and then complex function will convert a string to a complex value. Is that okay? Did you understand this? Right, it means in the first case, if I write 1 2 3, okay, and then when it gets converted to an integer, it becomes 123. Okay, in the string, when I say 65.6, okay, in the floating point this will become 65.6. Okay, so there is a difference between the number, the 1 2 3 that is there within double quotes, and 1 2 3. This is basically a string and this is basically a numeric value. Okay, so when I say complex, if this one string, if suppose I say 3 plus ij or something like 3 plus 1j or something like that. Okay, so this will get converted into an actual complex value 3 plus 1j. Okay, a string would be converted into a complex value. So these are the functions which are used to convert from string to a its particular value. Is that okay? Did you get that? Okay, so that is what, did you get that or not? Okay, so having said that, if I run this code, the same thing I'll be doing. Let me run this code. Okay, so what does it say? First input is what? First two numbers, first two inputs. First two inputs would be integers. I'll convert that into integer. Second two inputs would be floating point in the form of string I'll give, and then the third two inputs I'll be giving it in the form of a complex, and then I'll add those two and print it. Okay, yeah. Python 3. Okay, what was the number? 3.py, right? Python 3.py. Okay, enter the first number. I get, when I say 2 through the keyboard, this 2 is not normally a number 2. It is basically a string 2 which would be taken by the input. Then enter the second number 3. Okay, enter the third number, say it is floating point, I'll say 3.4. Okay, and then 5.4. Then it is asking me to enter a complex number. I will say 3 plus 4j. Okay, enter second complex number. I'll say 4 plus 5j. Enter, and I have the result over here. I have the result. Okay, so first 2 would be converted to an from string to integer. 3 would be converted from string to an integer. Both would be added, then I'll get an integer result. 3.4, which while taking from the keyboard would be a string, and 5.4 when I'm taking from the keyboard would be a string. After adding those, I'll actually get 8.8 as the result. Okay, which is the floating point number, because I'm using, in this case I'm using int function to convert the string to an integer. In this case I'm using float function to convert from a from a string to a float. And the third case, this was given as a string, okay, which got converted into complex using complex function, and then adding I get this complex result. These are the three things. So in this program I just wanted you to show how to use this type conversion functions. Is that okay? Clear with that? Everyone clear with that? Right? Okay, now moving on to the next topic. Are you okay with this? Clear? Shall we move to the next concept? Move to the next concept. Yeah? Okay. So the next concept is something about guess the output. It is for you to guess the output. Okay, can you tell me what is the output for all this? Guess the output for all this. Guess the output for all this. Quickly. When I say, okay, we'll do it one by one. Okay, yeah. Can you keep putting in the chat box about the value so that I can, okay, I'll do it myself. Okay, so, all right, what is the first one? This is basically called as an interpreter. Okay, so I'll run the first num. Can you tell me what is the first output? When I say 10, what will happen? 10, constant. The output is 10. Write down. If you want, you can write down later. You can take a printout and write it down over there. Okay, it is 10. Second one, can you put that in the chat box? When I say minus 10, what will be the output? Minus 10. Guess, don't type it and all that, just guess so that we can go ahead and try it out. You can try it out later. Minus 10. What will happen? Minus 10 will give the output as minus 10. Okay, this is basically I'm working on an interpreter. It's an interpreter. Okay, so it will automatically take the command and give you the output of okay, now 0.10. What happens 0.10? When I say 0.10, the output would be 0.1. It will add a 0. It says 0.1. 0.1, sorry, it's 0.10, not over 10. It is 0.10. It will basically give you 0.1. Okay, now when I say 1 comma 0, can you guess what is the output? 1 comma 0. Okay, this is basically called as a tuple. Don't worry about what is tuple for now. I'll be explaining it to you in detail later. For now, just understand the difference, different output that you get by typing all this 1 comma 0. Okay, now can you guess what will happen if I say 1 comma 024? When I say 1 comma 024. Now you might be wondering why this brackets and all came over here. Don't worry, it is basically a concept called as tuple, which I'll be explaining to you later. Okay, now can you tell me what will happen if I say, I'll randomly call out people rather than just okay. Okay, when I call out people, please make sure you unmute yourself. Okay, Kirtana Ganapati, unmute yourself. Okay, right. Kirtana, what is the output of this here? 1 comma 024. What will be the output? Any idea? I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. Yeah, now you can speak. Kirtana, I think I don't know. I cannot hear you. You're acting as if you're speaking or you're really speaking. I think there is a problem. Okay, Shweta, unmute yourself, Shweta. 1 comma 024.
It's bracket of 1,024.
Okay. No. Mute. Lot of disturbance. Mute. Okay. Okay. Anyone else who can answer? Anyone else? Akshita R. 1 comma 024.
24.
1 comma 24. Okay. Let us just check. Okay, if it is 1 comma 24, I doubt it would be 1 comma 24. Okay, let me check. This was the number, right?
Yes.
Okay, Akshata. Okay, so you get an error. Okay, so what is the error? What does the error say? What does the error say? Leading zeros in decimal integer literals are not permitted. Use an 0O. Okay, so basically it says use 0O or 0x. Okay, what the compiler feels that you are trying to use hexadecimal, octal, or binary number, and you are trying to print it, but that is not permitted. So let me see this. If I change this to 0x24, okay, yes, it works. Did you see that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Basically, it's an integer number which got converted. It was a hexadecimal number which got converted to a decimal number system. So this is permitted. Okay. So the same thing. If I say 1 comma 0O means what? It is basically octal number, right? Even this works. That octal got converted. So basically, this will not work. Just by saying 024, it doesn't work because 024 is not considered as any kind of constant. If it can be either 24 or it could be 0O24 or 0x24 or 0. Yeah, that's all. Is that okay?
Yes.
This is not a right way of representing an integer constant. Is that okay? Right? Fine. So you need not refer any book. All the questions are given here. If you can follow just these questions and try out, you will be able to understand everything. You need not refer multiple books at all. Referring more than 5 books is equivalent to just attending my course over here and guessing the output that I've given over here. Just do the practice programs that I've given. Is that okay? Right. So fine. Having said that, Akshata, unmute yourself. I think you're. We can have a discussion over here. Okay, just unmute yourself, Akshata R. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man. So now can you tell me the output for 1 comma 0B1010? What number is this?
Binary.
It's a binary. So if you convert, what will happen?
10.
Okay. So Subhash is telling it is showing syntax error. Which one is showing syntax error? Subhash, which is showing syntax error? No, old. Okay, Subhash, I kindly request you not to type anything over there. Just let us do it. When you're doing it, you might miss it out. Just let us do it. I'm doing it for you, right? So you need not do it. Just do it along with me, okay? Else you'll get confused and you'll lose track, okay? So the old one will definitely give you an error because there was no, here there was an O or X missing, Okay, so this one 1 comma 0b is a binary number. Let me just check out what happens. 1 comma 0b, okay, 1010, it gives you 1 comma 10.
1,10.
Right, you got it right, how it works, how constants works over here. Awesome. What is the next one? Print hello. What will be the output?
Hello.
Exactly, correct. What about print hello comma hello?
Twice. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Okay, let me just see what happens. Okay, when I say print hello comma hello, right? Now it will give you hello, hello. Correct? It just gave you hello, hello. Now, from where did the space come from? There was no space here, right? Did you see that? There was no space here, but from where did the space come from here? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Correct? Okay, don't worry, we'll learn that slowly, right? Now, in the second one, you see in the second one what happens? Okay, what am I saying? Print hello, 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 and I have a separator is equal to dollar. Now we'll run this and see. Can you guess what is the output?
Hello, dollar, hello.
Exactly, you are right. Awesome. Okay, so what happens in this case is that, okay, when I say hello and then say hello, okay, and then I use this like this. Okay, in the previous case I did not have something called a separator. Did I have a separator in the previous example? I did not
No.
have a separator. When I did not have a separator, by default the separator is space. In this case, I am told, okay, the separator has to be dollar, and see what will happen. Instead of space, it becomes a dollar now. Did you get that?
Yes.
Yes, no? Yeah, okay. So shall we do the next one? In the next one, what happens? And one more thing that you had to observe in the previous one. If I say, now let me repeat it, okay? When I say hello, comma, hello, okay? So what happened? No, I want everyone to look at the screen. Very important thing. Okay, when I say print hello, comma, hello, and say enter, what happened? It said hello, hello, and there was the cursor came to the new line, isn't it?
Yes.
Cursor came to a new line, right? Right? So did I mention anywhere in this program where there was a new line or anything?
No.
I had not given, correct? Okay, let us see. Let's try out this program along with this, So separator, comma, n is equal to, what is the problem? It is hash. Okay, it is hash. Now let me see what happened. Did you see this? Now instead of new line, it did not go to the new line. Rather, I put a hash over here. So by default, okay, in this case, the separator was space and the end was new line character. Okay, in this case, I overrode that separator. I told don't keep that default as space, rather make it as a dollar. Okay, and in this case I said the end line should be, it should not be a new line, rather it should be a hash. Therefore the new line was overwritten by hash. Therefore it did not take the cursor to the new line. Did you get the difference between these three?
Yes.
Did you get that? Okay, so hello, hello, when you say, by default the separator is space. Okay, and the end would be new line. Okay, whereas if you write a separator separately, you can actually that would get replaced with space, and here instead of new line I'm replacing it with a hash. Okay with that, everyone? Yeah. Akshata, you are there with me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so please unmute yourself. I find your what is that? I think you have a very good internet connection, so you will have a discussion. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. Right now, the next one. Okay, I think I need not type this. You will be able to say what will happen if I say x is equal to 15.6 and then int x. What will happen?
15.
It would be 15. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about this? X is equal to what about the next one?
15.0.
Yeah, correct. So I think you can try that by yourself. Is that okay? Right. Next one. X is equal to octal number. It's an octal number. It's an integer constant, basically converting that into an integer. So
Yes.
octal number would get converted into an integer
Decimal.
number over there. So that is your decimal number system, correct? And then this is a binary number system. X is equal to 0, b, whatever it is. So when I'm asking it to convert into a decimal number system, that will get now converted into a decimal number system. Is that okay? The same thing here, hexadecimal will get converted into a decimal number system. And now in this case, you basically have a string x is equal to 17. Okay, and when I'm calling this function int, I'm supposed to give one more parameter saying what is this x actually of. Okay, so I'm saying x that I'm giving it to you, that is this int function, is basically in the form of octal. So convert from octal to decimal number system is what I'm trying to tell. Okay, let me repeat. This one says, okay, int x comma 8 says x is the one, x is a string that you got to convert into your decimal number system. So what is x containing? X is basically an octal number system. So basically convert from an octal number system to decimal number system. That is what this says. Okay, if you see the next example, x is basically a string which contains a binary number system.
Binary.
Right? So 8 indicates octal, right? 8 indicates octal,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So this says x is equal to 1110010, and I'm saying the int function was, I'm telling to the int, please convert the string that is there in x, which is in binary format, to decimal number system. Okay. The next one, x is basically a string which contains an hexadecimal number system. So I'm saying int, please convert the string x, which contains hexadecimal number system, into the decimal number system. Okay, right? And then I convert from, you know, this decimal number system to, then I convert into binary, and this one I convert into octal for octal, and hex is a function to convert from a decimal, from decimal number system to hexadecimal. And then, okay, this one I'll tell you now in some time. Is that okay? Till you're okay?
Yes.
Till you're okay, no? They're all straightforward. Okay, octal will convert into octal, x will convert into hexadecimal, bind into binary, and int into integer, and float into float. I think all these are self-explanatory, right? Then finally, we have a function called as type, which will indicate the type of your variable. Shall I show that practically to you guys? So let's show that practically. Okay, so it is like this. You see this, okay? Okay. Okay, let me show that to you practically. Right now, a is equal to 10. Okay, Akshata, can you tell me what is the type of a?
Integer.
How do you know? Because 10 looks like an integer, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is a function type which says what is the type of a. Okay. So what is the type of a? It has been shown there. What is the type of a there?
Integer.
It is int. So you see this something called as class.
Yes.
You see this class. This itself will indicate that everything in Python is considered as objects. If there is an object, then there must be a class. So what is class and object? I'll tell you later. So it is basically of type class int. Now if I say a is equal to 5.6 and then say type of a, okay, what is it of type of?
Float.
Float. Okay. Now if I say a is equal to, say, Subhash, okay, and then say type of a, then tell me what is it of? It is of type string. That is a
String.
string. You understanding it? So do you remember I told you over here in this material all the data types? It is of type str. Did you see this? It is of type int. It is of float. It is of complex. Did I tell this? Is that
Yes.
okay? Yeah. So I want you to try this out, and then you'll be able to understand. Is that okay? Clear with that? Yeah. Okay. So shall we go to the final concept for now, and then wind it up? Is that okay? Are you all okay with this? Okay, not okay? Yeah. Okay, cool. Now I just want to give you a big warning when you're using floating point numbers, especially in Python. Okay. So the big warning is that you might be using floating point numbers, and during your operation on floating point numbers, you may get the results that are undesired. You will get undesired results. So you must be very careful with that. Okay. So why is it? I'll tell you in some time, but I'll tell you now. Okay. That is range and precision. So for floating point range, the maximum that it can, the least and the maximum that it can actually represent, the range of numbers that it could actually represent in floating point, okay, is that 10 to the power minus 308 to 10 to the power plus 308. Okay. This is the maximum that you can do. Beyond that, it cannot represent. Okay. Even below that, it cannot represent. Okay. So anything that is beyond the given range, it will result in something called as arithmetic overflow. It means if you try to do 1.5 or e to the power 200 into 2.0 e to the power 2, I just tried this number. Okay. Randomly, I tried this number, and I think Python was unable to represent this huge number, and it resulted in an output called as INF, which stands for infinity. It means it is arithmetic overflow. It means it is beyond the capability of Python to represent that huge number. You're understanding it? So it was unable to represent, and it gave an INF. It was a random thing I just tried out. Okay. And then I tried out even this 1.0 e minus 300 divided by 1.0 e 100. It means I wanted to bring the smallest number, the very smallest thing that could be represented by Python. But I think even that could not be represented, and it happened, it's supposed to happen some I think there was an arithmetic underflow and it gave me 0.0. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to tell you is that it has something called as arithmetic overflow, a number, a maximum that it could actually represent. Beyond that, it cannot represent. When it comes across a situation when it cannot represent a number beyond specific digit, I think it gives INF, which stands for infinity. And if it is unable to represent the smallest number, it just says 0.0. Okay, so minute number. So this is one thing. And second thing is, I want you to observe the limits of floating point precision. It means maximum it can be from 16 to 17 digits in Python. Okay, when I say 1 divided by 3, as an example, when I say 1 divided by 3, the output that I got was 0.333. That is nothing but an approximation to 16 digits. You can calculate from here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, now this is not the actual number. This is just an approximation. When you do real 1 by 3, in mathematics, what happens? It goes to 0.333. It doesn't end. Okay, it is complete. It keeps on going. So when it keeps on going, Python needs a way to actually stop it somewhere, right? Okay, so that approximation is 16 digits after your decimal point, not more than that. Okay, so out of curiosity, I just tried to see what will happen if I do 3 into 1 by 3. Okay, so I expected it to give 0.9999999, but what happened is, for my I was shocked to see the result was 1.0. It means Python tried to round it off to 1.0, 0.9999 to the 16 digits. It rounded off to 1.0. Okay, and then I tried for again just 1.99999, and it saw that there was a rounding off to 2.0. Okay, so it did not print 1.999, rather it rounded off to 2.0 and just gave me the output. Okay, so out of more curiosity, what I did, I removed the last digit 9 and I made it as 8, because I just want to know how it works, right? But in that case, it did not round off. It just gave me the exact number 999, and last it gave me an 8. But if I change that 8 to 9, then it actually rounded off to 2.0. Okay, and then what I did, out of still more and more curiosity, I removed that final digit. So if you can see here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, instead of 16, I made it as only 15 digits, and then it did not round off. It kept it as it is. Okay, don't you think that now the floating point are just behaving it very floating point numbers are behaving very strangely over here? Okay, so I did not stop it over here. I took more examples. I did 1 by 10, 6 into 1 by 10, and then I removed the brackets and saw what would happen. Okay, lot of things I did, and I got to know I'm not getting the right output what I actually expected. Then I came up with the moral of the story. Okay, the moral of the story I came up with that is that, okay, no matter how Python chooses to display calculated results, the value stored is limited in both the range of numbers that can be represented and the degree of precision. So for most everyday applications, this slight loss in accuracy is of no practical concern. However, in scientific computing and other applications in which precise calculations are required, this is something that the programmer must be keenly aware of. Hope I could clarify things. Okay, so whenever you're dealing with floating point numbers, you must be keenly, if suppose you feel that it doesn't matter much, then you can go ahead and use it. But if you're doing real serious operations with floating point, I want you to actually go through all this in detail and then do it. Okay, because there is no book or no one can actually exactly tell you how Python actually represent numbers. It depends on the implementer and all that. Is that okay? Even a minute 0.00001 change will give a very huge results, a very huge change in results. That is the reason I just gave the small of the story. Is that okay? Is that okay? Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So what we'll do now is, I think it's 9:30. Okay, so shall we continue tomorrow? Shall we continue tomorrow? Yeah, okay. So tomorrow again, sharp by 7:45, be ready. The link would be shared, and 8 o'clock I will start the session. So before I go away from and leave, so I would like to take some questions from you. Anyone? There were many people who were asking some questions, so I will take up your questions, and tomorrow I'll continue with the session. Any questions? I'm ready to take it up. Pawan, you have something to ask me?
No, sir.
No. The moment I call anyone's name, you know what happens? They become very conscious. Oh, sir is looking at me. Yeah, I am. You know what? I'm a real teacher. I seriously care about you. Okay.
Sir,
Pawan? Yeah, Pawan.
sir, yesterday I thought to ask, but you have wind up the session.
Okay, tell me, Pawan, what is it?
That is, what is meant by API?
Okay, API is nothing but called as Application Programming Interface. Okay, it means it is just a function call. Now we call this print. No, print are you used in the program?
Yes, sir.
In this program, I used print, no?
Yes, sir.
That is basically an API. Okay. In C
Okay.
language, you have printf function.
Yes, sir.
That's an API. Okay. You have this input function I wrote now. That is basically an
Yes.
API. It means you will only have the function called name and the function what parameters you want to pass, but you don't know how it is implemented. Okay. The function definition has been abstracted. It means you don't need to know how it works. You only need an API, the interface. That is basically called as an API, application programming interface.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Any other question? Anything else? Sudhir, you
Sir.
have something to ask? Yeah. Bhavna. Yeah,
Yes,
Bhavna.
sir. Sir, you told triple single quotes can be used as comments also. So will they be executed? How will the compiler differentiate if we are telling it as comments or telling it as string?
No, we are not telling it as comments. Okay, I'll tell you because you asked this question. Okay, it requires a concept of objects and garbage collection and all that. Because I asked you, because you have asked, I'll just tell you. Okay, what happens is basically when I write strings like this, okay, say Subhash. Okay, basically it is treated as a string by your Python compiler. It is a string. Okay, and if you want to have, and this is basically an object. In Python, this is basically an object. Object in the sense, it occupies memory. On the heap, it occupies some amount of memory. Okay, so Subhash is stored here. Subhash is stored in the heap. Okay, I'll talk about heap and all later. Don't worry, no. But heap is only a storage area on the RAM. It is a place in the RAM where you store objects. Okay, so what happens if this Subhash has to exist in the memory, right? If it has to exist in the memory, it has to be referenced by someone. It means I have to store this by some name called as name is equal to like this. I have to write it like this. Only then this part string has a value. Got it, Bhavna? Okay.
Yes,
now
sir.
say for example, if I say a is equal to 10. Okay. If 10 have to have some value, right? If 10 has to be in memory, then a has to be there. Just by writing 10, it is not there in memory. It is not referenced by anyone. Similarly, when I write Subhash over here, okay, and if you want to access Subhash, it has to be referenced by some variable, right? So that is what is name is equal to. Now, what happens in our program is that if I do not write this name, right? Now, what happens when I do not write this name? There is a program or a software in the PVM, that is your Python virtual machine. He is called as garbage collector. You know what he will do? That garbage collector, I'll talk about garbage collector in detail later, but for now, because you asked me, I'm telling you this. You know what this garbage collector will do? Garbage collector will see such kind of objects which don't have any references. Okay, it is like after someone dies, he will become ghost, ghost.
Yes, sir.
After somebody left, he becomes ghost, right? Nobody to take care of him and all that. This is like ghost now, correct? No, so your garbage collector will take away all these ghosts and remove from memory. When this is removed from memory, it can be now used as a command line, which is anyways not compiled. That is how it becomes a command line. Got it?
Yes, sir.
But it is basically not used for commenting it out. But it becomes a comment line when you do not have anyone to reference to it, and it is garbage collected. There is no more. It has no more meaning in the program, and then it becomes your comment. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Same thing with double quotes also. Okay, so there is a concept like garbage collector objects and all that, which we'll discuss later. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bhavna. Any others? I can answer any of your question.
It's just a suboptimal way of doing it.
Sudhir, I didn't get you.
It's just a suboptimal way of doing it.
Which one? Which one are you talking about? The
Putting
command
a
line
triple
one?
quote or a triple double quote is a suboptimal way because we are unnecessarily messing with the memory.
Yeah, correct. Yes, correct. So you're supporting my answer for Bhavna, or how is it? Or you're not supporting?
I'm just thinking aloud.
You're thinking alone. Okay. Yeah, but what you said is right. What you said is right, actually. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
Subhash,
Sandeep, tell me.
yeah, when this object string is assigned to any variable, double quote, will the program still consider this as a garbage, or how it is?
I didn't get you. What is it, Sandeep? Once again, can you?
Yeah, for example,
A is equal to.
No, in a program, if we mention this string with a double quote or triple quotes, will it how the program will know that I should not consider this as a garbage?
I didn't get your question. So you're asking me if there is Subhash, how will it know it is not garbage?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, if you say in a program, if you mention the string, okay, in a quote.
Can you give me an example? I'll mention it over here.
In the previous sheet, like.
Okay. Which one? This one?
Okay. Just take that A is equal to.
Okay. A is
in
equal
double
to
quotes, Subhash.
Okay. Okay. I write this. Okay.
So now A has a value of Subhash. Correct.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
I mentioned this in double quote. So how come the program or the thing will not, Python will not take this as a garbage for A?
Yeah, because Subhash has been referenced by the variable A. In the memory, right? In the memory, okay, there is an object called as Subhash, that is a string is there, and this fellow has been referenced by A. It means someone is actually referring to it. Someone is actually pointing to it. Okay, so it means that when someone is pointing to it, someone would be actually using this. That is how it won't become a garbage. Whereas if there is no one who is referring to it, okay, it means there is no way I can actually print the Subhash over there, right? So when there is no reference to it, it becomes kind of, an orphan kind of thing, okay? And then this would be eligible for garbage collection.
Okay, for example, when we print hello world, okay, so hello world is a garbage because it is not assigned to any memory.
No, it is not like that. Only thing is you feel nobody is being accessing it actually. But when you say print over here, okay, print, and then you say hello, okay, no, you are seeing only print, but there would be a print definition, no? Somebody has written a print definition, and this hello would be passed to it, and that would be collected in some object or variable over here.
Okay.
Getting it? Okay, you are not seeing, you feel that this is garbage. This is not garbage. It has been passed to a print method or a print function, and there it would be collected in a reference variable. So that is why it is not garbage.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other question? Who is that?
Yogesh, sir.
Yeah, Yogesh.
Sir, instead of triple quotes, if we use only double quotes, sir, then also it will be treated as garbage value, sir.
Anything, any strings are, see, garbage value is, listen to me carefully, okay? First of all, I don't know how all this, everybody are talking all of a sudden about garbage values, okay, but because it's not today's topic, but anyways, I'll tell you, right? Any object which is currently not being used by the program is basically a garbage value or a garbage, it becomes garbage. Okay, so it means any object which is not being pointed by anyone else, or if nobody is referring to it, okay, so that is basically eligible for garbage collection. Got it or not?
Yes, sir.
You got it? Okay. Now coming to your question, if I write it between double quotes, it is not because you write it between double quotes, you write it between single quotes, or not like that. Okay. If there is no one who is referring to it, or if you are not using this in your program anywhere, and it is just lying in the memory just like that, then the garbage collector of your Python virtual machine thinks that there is no use this being in the memory like that. Let me remove it from here, and that becomes eligible for garbage collection. Got it?
Okay.
You didn't, I think you did not understand.
I understood, sir.
Seriously?
Yes, sir.
Super. Okay. Next. Any other question? Anything else?
Sir, what is Scratch, sir? Is that an irreplaceable value for Python programming or what?
What is that?
Can it be replaced for Python programs, sir?
Can it means which? I did not get. What is it? It.
Scratch, sir.
Okay.
Scratch programming.
Okay. So is that?
So.
One thing. Is there anything to teach about Scratch today? I mean, I'm asking you. Do you have any doubts in today's session?
No, sir. You have mentioned it like yesterday and today also, sir. So that I have it out.
Where did I mention about Scratch? First of all, who is talking to me?
Shrutilaya, sir.
Shrutilaya, where did I talk about Scratch, Shrutilaya? When did I mention Scratch? I mean, I think you heard something called as I would be starting it from scratch. Isn't that the thing?
Yes, sir.
Python from scratch. Okay, I got it. I told you Python from scratch, right? Okay. Scratch is a slang for from the basics. I told you I would be starting Python from basics. That is what it means by scratch. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Shruti Laya is such an innocent girl. Very good girl. Okay. Right. Next question. But yeah, there is a language called as a Scratch actually. It has nothing to do with this. Anyways, yeah. Anyone else? Any other question? Any other question? Pawan, to whom are you talking so much, man, Pawan? Yeah?
No, sir, sister is sitting beside me.
Okay, okay, fine. Why is she sitting next to you?
No, class is finished. No, just she came here, sir.
Oh, is it? Tell her class is not over. And tell Subhash ki is very strict lecturer. Tell her.
Yeah, I told sir already.
You told her? Oh my God.
Yes, sir, I told already.
Okay, fine. Any other question?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Who is that?
Am I audible now?
Yeah,
Kirtana
but who is I?
here.
Kirtana there.
Yeah.
Kirtana there. Tell me.
Yeah, like if we use something within double quotes and it is not been referenced by something, it treats that as a garbage and it will throw an error, right?
No, it will
Like
not throw an error.
something.
No, it is not garbage. It is actually an object which does not have a reference. And it would be, removed from the memory by the garbage collector.
Okay, like if we introduce something like that in between the programs, will that be not an error?
Which one? I'll show it to you. Okay. Shall we do one code for that? We'll write a code for it.
Sure. Yes, yes.
I'll write it here.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, not okay.
No, I was telling just with the double quote.
You want double quotes?
Yeah, just
Double
double quotes.
quotes or
Single
just
double.
single double quote?
Single double quote, yeah.
Okay. I'll compile this.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'll confuse you more with. Is that okay?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Don't worry. I mean, there is a lot to study. I'll teach you one by one.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Any other doubts that you have? No? Mauly Roy, you have some doubts? Mauly Roy, you have some doubts? Mauly, you're there? Not there? That's Mauly only, no? Mauly Roy. Okay. Danya Manjunath, sir, the strings gets converted to ASCII if we add 2 strings. Okay. Give me time till tomorrow. I would explain you what you mean by ASCII and all that, encoding and all that. I think tomorrow I would be, not tomorrow, in the next lesson, I'll be explaining about ASCII and all that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Molly says still no problem, sir. Okay, fine. Okay. So shall we wind up the session? Any more doubts? Finally, quickly. No doubts? Shall we discuss? We'll continue tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, fine then. So meet you tomorrow. Until then, good night. Take care. Love you all so much. Bye-bye.